Good evening, everyone. We are about to start this meeting of the March 19th Board of Education. Before we do, I'm going to stand for a moment of silence, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance to our country's flag. Anyone who would like to join me, please feel free to do so. Join in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Good evening. I'm good. How are you? Let's see. March 19th, join the meeting. Thought it already joined the meeting. First item of business tonight, Mr. Johnson, do we have the roll? All right, all members present, that's good. Next item on the agenda is adoption of regular agenda. Is there a motion?
Motion to approve.
Motion approved by Mr. Daniels, second by Mr. Wise. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Seeing none, motion carries. Next item is adoption of consent agenda. Do we have a motion? Motion by Ms. Bachman, second by Ms. Hayes. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Seeing none, motion carries. Next item on the agenda is consideration of minutes, discussion and action regarding the minutes of February 12th, 2019 regular meeting. There is a motion already by Mr. Wise, second by Ms. Brown. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Seeing none, motion carries. Next item on the agenda is recognition and hearing of delegations. It appears we have Reed Chisholm from Madison Creek Elementary, 4-H state speech winner with us tonight.
Yes, Mr.
Ms.
Reed,
Hayes.
come on up. Mr. Duncan, if you'd like to join. And Mom and Dad are here. Hey, Reed, I want you to show this way. I've not stood over here yet. This is cool. Am I on? I'm on.
You're on.
Good evening. Tonight, I have the honor and the privilege of introducing you to Reed Chisholm. He is the Tennessee State 4-H speech contest winner for the whole state of Tennessee. Wow. Good job. And this is by a process of elimination. Reed, you started, and Mr. Duncan, you started in a school competition.
Yeah, in our classroom. We started off in our classroom, and then we went to the county, and we had like a classroom in the county. And then if you got first, second, or third place in the classroom, you'd move up to go to like the final like county competition. And then I won that one, and then I went to like the regional and state one, and I won both of those.
Good job. Okay, there are like 60 in the state competition, and we came out #1 over Williamson County, who had been holding this title for a while. So, yes, yes. Well, tonight, I've asked Reed to share with us his 2-minute speech for the state competition, and you all are going to be so delighted. You are going to love this. Now, Jeremy, Dr. Phillips, would it be better? It's hard to see Reed here. Would this be good so everybody can hear him, or could he stand? Hey, you come stand right here. This is it, Scott. Is that good?
Yeah.
You ready?
Yeah.
We are just so excited.
Can I go?
You may go.
Good evening, everyone. Can someone tell me something they use every day that can put them in direct contact with someone in an instant? share their latest photo with Santa, play a game of Fortnite with friends, or even tell the latest score and footage of the Titans game? Well, yes. Today I'm going to be talking about an invention that has been connecting people for centuries and continues to change the way we interact with the world around us. Ring ring! That's right, it's the telephone. In 1876, Alexander Graham Bell was the first to patent the telephone as an apparatus for transmitting vocal or other sounds telegraphically. Bell's first phone was constructed by multiple vibrating steel reeds and make-break circuits that included the concept of multiplex frequencies. In 1915, 40 years after Bell's first call, Bell made the first cross-country call from New York to San Francisco. A touch-tone phone called a rotary phone popped up in the 1960s. This phone, with a spinning dial, made dialing much faster, and, fun fact, the number keypad and letters associated with it would one day make texting possible. A major breakthrough came in 1973 when Marty Cooper made the first wireless phone call. This was important because he moved away from wires and a home base. 10 years later, the first commercial handheld cell phones were developed. They were the size of a brick in the beginning, but the 90s brought sleeker, smaller flip phones that later developed into the smartphones we know today that can fit in our pocket. The telephone has come a long way from two tin cans attached with a string to the intricate smartphones we know today, complete like computers with apps we use daily. No single invention has connected people like the telephone. So the next time you're scrolling through social media, playing Candy Crush, FaceTiming family, or even catching the latest YouTube video, thank Alexander Graham Bell. And hey, give me a call.
And because I'm going to hand deliver Reed's certificate to him because we had a misspelling of his name, and I want to make sure it's right. But on behalf of the Sumner County School Board, we are so proud of you, and we're just so proud of your accomplishment, and you representing the state of Tennessee in the state 4-H speech contest. And
Thank you so much.
John Duncan can take some credit for this, the principal of Madison Creek Elementary School. Yeah.
Reed, parents, y'all come on up. Yeah, come on. Take a photo together. Miss Hayes.
George and Hope. Thank you. Proud of you, Reed.
Next item on the agenda is Mr. Wise has some things from White House High School to tell us about.
Young man reminds me so much of me. You little smart aleck. I'm just kidding you. Congratulations. And Mr. Chairman, I believe you place the items on the agenda and you make me follow that. Thanks a lot. I would like to ask Ethan Rainey and Coach John Hill to step up, please. Come on up here. I didn't say stand up, son. I said step up. The head coach, Mark Lamberth, is also the head coach of the boys soccer team at White House High School, and because he is neck deep in soccer, he couldn't be here, so Coach Hill, his assistant, graciously agreed to be here. Mr. Chairman, board members, Dr. Phillips, thank you for allowing me to recognize Ethan Rainey. Ethan Rainey is the best one in the state, in the entire state. Now, Ethan doesn't make speeches. Ethan just takes big bodies and slams them to the mat and holds them there. Ethan was a member of the White House High School football team, actually played in middle school for my son. Ethan gained the honor of All-County from his football playing days, and his overall wrestling record was 151-19. 151 he won. 3-time state qualifier as a freshman, sophomore, and his senior year. 1-time region champion his senior year. 2-time state medalist, 3rd his sophomore year and 1st his senior year. All while maintaining a 3.6 GPA. So he's not just a dumb wrestler, he's a smart wrestler. But you know, when I saw this last item on the list, and I'm going to ask Coach Hill to comment about Ethan as a young man, his character. The last item on my list here impressed me quite a bit. It simply says, but it means a lot. And I want him to know that our thoughts and prayers will be with him as he goes about his next chapter of his life. He is an early enlistee in the U.S. Air Force. So, Coach Hill,
Yes, sir.
you make a comment or two, please.
Yeah, Ethan,
Come over here.
Okay.
All 4 years that Ethan was with us, he was a successful wrestler, and if it weren't for an injury his junior year, he would have been a 4-time state qualifier, a 2-time region champ, and possibly a 2-time state champion. But when he came to us at 8th grade, he was very much a kid, and as proud of him as I am of all of his wrestling accomplishments, I'm most proud and will always be most proud of the young man that you're looking at this evening. I am confident that he will do positive and meaningful things in this world. And I'm happy to and honored to have coached him, but I'm more happy and more honored to know him. Thanks.
Thank you. Before we take pictures, his principal, Miss Ann Miller, is here. His parents are here. Thank you for a job well done, parents. Parenting is not always easy. You said I could have about 45 minutes, is that right? Or 57?
You're the one looking at the clock all day.
Yes, I am. I do want to present this certificate to Ethan, but I will read it. Sumner County Board of Education, presented by the Sumner County Board of Education to Ethan Rainey, presented Tuesday, March the 19th, 2019, in recognition of your being named TSSAA 220-pound state champion in wrestling as a member of the White House High School wrestling team. Thank you for representing White House High School and Sumner County Schools with class and pride. Ethan Rainey, thank you, young man. Good luck. Come on, Coach.
Yes, sir.
Come on, Director. Director. Come on, I ain't standing behind Ethan. I can't do it.
Hey, Janet, we'll slide a little bit.
Right here.
There we go.
All right, next item on the agenda, I believe, is Mr. Daniels. Next item on the agenda is you, I think.
Pass it off to Mr. Lentz.
Okay, all right.
He's
Pass
gonna,
off Mr. Lentz.
Please come up here and recognize a
Taylor,
number
come
of
on down.
students from Union Elementary, which I believe is the best elementary school in the county. Personal opinion, but you know, that's my belief. So thank you. Hey, Lance, take it.
All right. I appreciate you guys letting me introduce several of my students and one of my teachers, actually three of my teachers, one who got a state award and others who sponsor a club that has made a huge impact on Union. When I got to Union, I realized that the academic success they'd have was obvious, but I also wanted to do more with our kids and teach them the soft skills, leadership skills that are necessary, that sometimes the books and the instruction and the assessments don't always grow them in those areas. And we've worked hard to create a community of servant hearts and servant leadership, and I've tried to impress upon my students that to serve others sometimes differentiates good leaders from great leaders. A lot of intelligence goes into a lot of success, but also serving other people and looking out for other people. The first student I want to introduce is one of our fifth graders, Teresa Bowling. Teresa, if you'll make your way up. Teresa is part of our tribe at Union. Tribe stands for trustworthy, responsible, intelligent, bold, enthusiastic. Those are all 5 key principles that you need to be a strong leader. Obviously, the intelligence we had at Union, but the leadership skills that we had opportunities to give our kids were missing. Teresa has started a program of her own called Let's Run. The Let's Run program, we helped her this spring at Union and collected 511 pairs of shoes that are used, gently used. They can go to kids for athletic events, cleats, basketball shoes, dance shoes, ballerina shoes, and that helped her surpass her goal of 1,000. She goes to TPAC. She sets up a table for students who may visit TPAC that night and gets shoes collected, or at least gets the notice out. I know Indian Lake has helped Teresa with her program, and she works really hard. This isn't just something she came up with and then somebody else went with it as far as the actions. This is a 10-year-old child, 10? 11 now, who has a servant's heart. She's smart. She's one of our tribe members. She did this on her own. So you can think of the impact she has on kids, the Gallatin Soccer Club, and kids who wouldn't have been able to afford a decent pair of shoes, might have worn shoes that didn't fit them. Kids like Teresa taking care of other kids. As an adult, she's going to take care of other adults. Teresa was given an award through the Prudential Spirit of Community, their program for students, and really everyone else were middle schoolers and some high schoolers. She was the only elementary school student to be awarded by Prudential. So I present to you Miss Teresa Bowling, and she'll be back up. Actually, she just needs to stay up here because she's done something else. If I can have Miss Rachel York come forward. Rachel and Teresa are 2 of our tribe members, and they are also in our scholars program. Their invention that they took to MTSU was voted as judge's favorite, and with that, they now qualify for the National Invention Convention. 2 fifth graders from a small town and a small school that does great things. And so I want you to, you want to talk to them about your invention? Sure. Okay. They're going to tell you briefly about what this is about.
No. So basically, this is an invention that helps you with your pets. It keeps your pets away from your furniture. It doesn't just work for pets if you have pets. It also works for burglars, which you place near your door, and toddler escape artists.
It works with a motion sensor and a sound speaker. When the animal passes by the furniture, an alarming noise of your choice will go off and scare the animal away. It also has an on and off switch for times you need it.
What's the name of it?
The Scat Cat
Cat
alarm
alarm
system.
system.
Scat Cat Alarm System. That it? I also have, if Isabella and Ava and Olivia will come forward. These three young ladies competed last year and this year in our Amazing Shake competition. The Amazing Shake is an idea derived from the Ron Clark Academy. If you haven't heard of it, Oprah has, and she gave him $5 million in the fall of 2018. He does such great work. I've sent 27 teachers at Union to visit his academy and to steal and glean ideas from his academy and mold them to make them all unions. One of the things that Ms. Jean Hesson and Stacy Porter and Kelly Cook helped start was the Amazing Shake program at Union. Last year, we weren't prepared early enough to send students to the Nationals. This year, we had a runoff after we decided our final three. It was a very, very, very close race between Isabella, who was our grand champion, and our other two champions, Olivia and Ava. As they competed in the Ron Clark Academy against middle schoolers, we were 6th, 7th, and 8th graders. A lot of them have been prepared at private schools. Isabella competed to be in the top 20 in the competition. Ava and Olivia were given wild cards. And if you know the book, Hope King and Wade King, Wild Card is something that we're doing a book study for at Union. Wild cards were in the top 80 out of 275, and they could compete to be number 21 and 22. They're the wild card. They're the added to the top 20. Despite not earning top 20, I'm still interested to see where they placed, because these young ladies went down there and represented Union and Sumner County with grace and poise, with excitement. They had to have interviews, they had to sell products, they had to memorize commercials, give monologues. They all three know what Brexit is. That was one of the prep questions. So I prepped with them a couple of weeks before they went. And it's amazing what these young ladies did. And I'm very proud. They're all three tribe members, and they're all three Beta Club members. They're all three honor students. They have extracurricular things. They're not just locked into a book and don't get out and have fun. These girls are fun. They're athletic. They're smart. They're popular because they are good people. They have a servant's attitude, and I'm very proud of Ava. This is Miss Ava Hesson, Miss Olivia Strong, and Miss Isabella Hibbard. And
Lance, can we, because I want to do this, can we get the other two students that just sat down, can we get them back up here?
Absolutely.
Because I want us to stand up and clap for all of these young people.
Got it.
Just like we do every day. So y'all come on back up, and then we're going to stand up and clap, so if you get the recognition that you deserve. Okay?
Awesome.
All right. Congratulations.
There you go.
all of you.
I've still got some people to introduce.
Are you doing more students or teachers?
A teacher, another student, and our school.
Oh, okay. I thought
So-
we were moving to the adults. I was going to get the students first and then the adults.
I'm going to skip over the teacher if you don't mind, because I want another student. Lucy, if you'll come forward. Lucy Blaylock is one of our 4th grade students who earned the Volunteer Star Award from Governor Haslam. And I nominated her for this award because of her love blankets. What Lucy did, started as a 3rd grader, was making love blankets for children who may have been in abusive homes, who may have been terminally ill. She branched that out of the Gallatin community into Sumner County and all of Tennessee, other states, other countries. She's made well over 200 love blankets. Last November, when Lucy heard of my friend's November of 2017, heard of my friend's battle with cancer. Lucy made a love blanket that I delivered to Dr. Brown from Lucy, and she finds people who are low in life and tries to use these blankets to inspire them and uplift them. This is a 9 and 10-year-old child. All of these, remember, these are children. This is our future. She's got a servant's heart. She's got a big heart for other people. And I'd like to introduce her. She is the Volunteer Star Award winner in the state of Tennessee for 2019, Miss Lucy Blaylock. Now that is all of the students if you want to get pictures, but I still...
Let's take a picture so the parents can get in the picture if they see. Board members, if you guys want to go around and take a picture with these fine young ladies. Education is a family event. Hold on a second. CPA person.
Appreciate you, man.
Are you taking pictures of Jeremy or I'll text you. Okay,
Yes.
Hey, ladies, I remember when the county commission and the school board had lunch at the school. I think Miss Isabella was one of our tour guides. You better watch out. She could run the school.
Yes, ma'am.
She could take the job.
Well, you may have heard of her grandfather.
Yes.
He's kind of a big deal in cars.
Yeah, kind of a big deal.
Yeah. The next person I want to recognize won the local chapter VFW and then the district-wide VFW Teacher of the Year. And on, I think in February 11th, she was named the state VFW Teacher of the Year for the Veterans of Foreign Wars. And pretty soon, Ms. Bachman and I will hear if she's won the national award, which I can't think of a better person, a better teacher who deserves this. Her love and passion for ELA and social studies and history is without question, and I think that's what helped her with this award. She's an impressive teacher, one of the things that make Union great. And if Ms. Kelly Cook will come forward. And I will let you all know for sure when she wins the national award. The nomination she had was as detailed as you could. I had a character limit of 1,000, and I took all 1,000. She's that good. The last thing I want to recognize, and these kids that are part of it, we also have parents here, and also the Invention Convention. My scholars teacher, Kathy Vantrease, led Rachel and Teresa and 46 others who are actually for the STEM Expo, but she's led this Invention Convention at Union and taken them to compete. And Kathy deserves a lot of credit. I know these girls came up with their own invention, but they're under great leadership with Kathy, and I don't want to be remiss to not have her included in that. These kids and parents at Union are amazing. We won for the second consecutive year the Governor's Award for school volunteerism. It's called the Seal of Approval. And this is not, there's a difference in bragging and being prideful and having pride in your school. I want to just share a few things about the Union community. And this isn't about me, this is about our parents, the community members, our students. In the past 2 years, 959 toys for Toys for Tots, 2,525 pairs of shoes for Paws for Ability. They take the soles off the shoes. They send them to a company in Virginia. They give 40 cents per pound to a young man who was not a Union student, helping him get a hearing service dog, which was $17,000. We put a large dent in that last year. 511 pairs of shoes for Teresa's program, Let's Run, this year. Over 260 pounds of can tabs that go to the Ronald McDonald House, Vanderbilt Hospital. 258 pounds of recycled markers, which is another fourth grader's idea at Union. That's her program. 4,720 socks, new socks that went to the Nashville Rescue Mission over the past 2 years. We've raised money for autism awareness, American Cancer Society, over $12,000 this year for Jump Rope for Heart. For books, Sydney Cook, Miss Cook's daughter, runs a book program. She raised over 10,000 books. 7,000 of those came from Union. This is a school of 520. We have an outdoor library for neighborhood kids. 6,000 food cans contributing to Gallatin High School's food can drive. And we just recently had a Play-Doh drive where we sent 400 new Play-Doh items to the Vanderbilt Children's Hospital, Monroe Carroll. They can only play with those once. One child can play with them. You can't reuse those, obviously, in that sterile environment. So we raised over 400 Play-Doh items. And so I'm really proud of, and our tribe, our parents that contribute, the teachers who contribute, and our kids. We're growing servant leaders. You hear a lot of negative, and I just wanted you guys to hear the positive. And this is about our kids and about our community. And Union's a special place to me. It's grown on me in the last 2 years. I'm thankful for Dr. Brown and Dr. Phillips for allowing me to take that position. And I want to grow from great to greater. And I think we are. Academically, we'll get to where we want to be. But as far as servant leaders, I think you can tell we're there. These kids are sharp, and they mean the world to me, and I love them. And I'm gonna miss these girls. I get Lucy one more year. These girls are part of my heart, and that school is too. And I'm proud of them, and I'll brag on them. And I thank you for allowing us to recognize them tonight. Thanks.
Kathy Vantrease, come on up. Miss Kathy.
Rachel and Teresa, don't get a picture with Miss Vantrease.
Mr. Chairman, before Mr. Taylor and the whole group gets out of here, I'd just like to say just one thing real quick. One thing that you heard Mr. Taylor say is he never took any credit for anything that's going on over there. But I think he deserves a lot of credit for what he's done for that school. As I think back, I've had kids at that school for 12 years now. I think I got another 6, so I should have a plaque or a parking spot or something, I think. But as I've seen the changes that Mr. Taylor has brought to that school, and the freedom he's given his teachers to teach, and the passion that they bring to the students every day. It used to be I'd pick my kids and I'd say, "How was your day?" and they'd tell me what they had for lunch. Now when I pick them up and ask them what they're doing, they're telling me about what they're learning, whether it be about sharks or books or, Finn was a doctor in one of the classes, Ms. Hessen's class. And so all the things that they're doing to make learning fun for these kids. And I think that's a great thing, not just about Union, but about a lot of the schools in our county is especially at the elementary level, is making learning fun for our students. And it speaks a lot to Dr. Phillips and his team. But especially as I look at Union and see see what they've done in the past couple of years since Mr. Taylor's been there, it's phenomenal, and I appreciate everything that you and your staff does. So thank you, Mr. Taylor.
Thank you, Mr. Daniels. Mr. Wise.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I've known Mr. Taylor for the, I guess, 11 years I've been on the board now, and no, he doesn't take the credit. But the thing about Mr. Taylor that's so unique, I think, is that, yeah, he has it up here, but what he's doing comes from here, and that's the difference in a great leader in a school and leading children. And I just want to tell you, Mr. Taylor, we appreciate you. We appreciate you. We appreciate your staff, your faculty, and the job that you all are doing there leading our future leaders. Thank you.
Ms. Brown.
I just want to add that I know how hard you work. Yeah, I mean, you inspire others to do work, but you put all the work in and you're so organized, it's easy for them to follow. And that's what makes it so good, because that inspires them to do what they should be doing, and they're enjoying it meanwhile. So I appreciate you too.
Thank you, Ms. Brown. Thank you, Ms. Brown. I agree wholeheartedly. He does a fantastic job there. He touches my heart. So for the love that he has for the kids and everything. I know when we visited over there, it was a great time over there. Ms. Bachman.
Just a quick word to say. I first met Mr. Taylor when he was over at Guild, and he impressed me then, and he still does today. We have some amazing principals in this county, and I want to thank you for what you've done, and I want to thank you for nominating and submitting Ms. Cook for the award for the VFW Teacher of the Year. And we're hoping that maybe she'll come out on top in the nation. But I appreciate you doing that for her. There's so many things that principals have to do that sometimes those things don't get done or whatever. And I appreciate you, and thank you for taking the time for nominating her. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Ms. Bachman. I think we covered everybody. We are still in recognition of hearing and delegations. I'll tell the audience you're welcome to stay as long as you would like. However, we're fixing to move to some other things on here. So if you want to exit now, you can, or just stay on and watch and see what we do. We won't make you stay. Okay. All right, let's move on. We have two that would like to speak. I understand there may be two others that didn't sign up. If, while the first two are speaking, if you'd see Mr. Johnson here, Mr. Johnson get you the form to sign up. The first one too, I'm not going to attempt the last name because I know I'm going to not do it right, but Scott? Wateka, okay. Okay, I'm sorry. Yeah, if you would give your name and address for the record, and you'll have 5 minutes to speak on an agenda item.
All right, my name is Scott Waiteka, and my address is 104 Porter Court. I don't have any trees, so can't toilet paper it. But I'm also a teacher at Beach High School, and I teach wellness, and I'm the cross country and track coach there. And during the spring, I also coach Knox Dallas and TW Hunter track team. And then during the fall, I coach TW Hunter cross country club as well. So I'm here to talk to you about the benefits that I see every single day by allowing 6th graders to participate in cross country and track and field. The good thing about Beach High School is Mr. Powell and the administration, they do a great job of promoting rising freshmen to get involved in the club, because they know if they get dialed into something, that they're less of a discipline issue, they're more successful academically, and they have a better overall experience in high school. And I feel the same thing is true for middle school. Last May, I spoke at TW Hunter, and I took Jameson to talk as well. And we went to Madison Creek Elementary and also Beach Elementary. And far and away, the most excited bunch, unsurprisingly, were the elementary school kids. And we offered summer practice. And again, we had more 6th grade kids than any other grade. I was a little bit worried about the maturity issue, but as a coach and as a teacher, if you set your expectations and you stick to them consistently, they don't become an issue. And James can tell you, probably the most immature kids grew the most over the course of the season. And probably the main difference is they played in the playground a little bit more. But as runners, they did a great job. They rose to our expectations, and they contributed to our team. So what I saw was an issue at the beginning of the year was not an issue at the end. And obviously, as runners, the most important thing is being successful academically. And again, we saw that with our kids. Most of our kids had high GPAs, and TW Hunter gets out before Beach High School does, so they come to my classroom, they listen to my old man music, and they got to do their homework. And they have older teammates help them out. They have me to help them out academically. And I would like to think if they didn't do any sports, they go home and start the studies right away, but they're going to be on their cell phones playing Fortnite or on their Xbox or whatever things those youngins do today. But through cross country and track, they learn time management as 6th graders. You might think it's too much at first, but I'd rather them learn how to from the get-go so they can balance the last couple of years. And study after study shows the more physical activity you have, the more successful academically you are. Gotta check my notes. My battery power's down to 12%. But something I love about cross country is that it's a very black and white sport. We could argue who the best basketball player is, who the best football player is, but there's really no way to judge it. In cross country and track and field, you're given a place and you're given a number, so you know where you stand. And what the 6th graders see is the harder they work and the more they buy into it, the better that place gets and the better that number gets. And in the classroom, they get the same exact thing. They get a letter grade or they get a percentage grade. And as you see in cross country, that struggle equals growth, failure equals success. They can carry that over to the classroom. And as they work harder in the classroom, that grade and that number, just like in cross country, it gets better as well. And the athlete part is we want to be competitive. For the past 2 years, I've kept the team a club because I saw a big benefit in allowing 6th graders to participate. Regardless of the vote tonight or where it goes, next year we're going to be a TMSAA team because we have a great young group coming up and we want to see where we stack up on the state level. But other counties, other schools, they have 6th graders who are contributing members of their track and field teams and their cross-country teams, and we want that advantage as well because we have a strong program. Our top girl this year was a 6th grade student. Our 4th and 5th girls this year were 6th grade students, and cross country top 5 is what scores. We had several good boy 6th graders last year. Our far and away our best boy was a 6th grader. Now the 7th grader this year, he ran the fastest time in Sumner County history for a middle schooler, and a lot of that was what he learned as a 6th grader. And we're hoping those kids kind of carry that on through high school and kind of go on to college and continue their education. I've been at Beach for 2 years now. We've had 5 cross-country kids sign scholarships to compete in college. I know one of those probably would not have gone to college if it wasn't for running. So we're trying to give them more of a chance to be successful academically and athletically. And I think if we get them a 6th grade students, they'll thrive. And again, there's the maturity issue. But as a teacher, I have students with IEPs. I have students with 504s. I have to modify instruction. I do the same exact thing for cross country. I base the training based on the training age, their background, their ability level. Just like teachers modify, coaches have to modify as well. So I think as long as the coaches are competent and know what they're doing and are patient with things, 6th graders is a benefit to Sumner County, and it's a benefit to the individual, and it's a benefit to us as a whole, because our kids will be better academically and they'll be better athletically. So regardless of where the vote goes tonight, thanks for letting me talk here. I love being a part of Sumner County, and thanks so much.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm supposed to that. Jamison Stencil. Jamison, give us your name and address, and you'll have 5 minutes to talk about the agenda item.
Alright, my name is Jameson Stenzel, and my address is 166 Fieldcrest Circle. As I said, my name is Jameson Stenzel. I'm a 7th grader at T.W. Hunter Middle School, and I've been running cross country for 2 years now. I just started competing on my school track team. I would like to point out some things. Sports have been installed in kids from a very young age. Whether a parent inspired them to work hard and maybe earn something in the long run, or they're just naturally competitive. Youth sports have gotten more and more competitive over time. Last year as a 6th grader, I was able to run cross country. I learned many things not only about my sport, but about growing with the team. Allowing 6th graders to compete in school sports will give them a leg up on competition, a further understanding of how to represent their school, and an opportunity to make lifetime teammates. First of all, student athletes do not play to lose. Being one of them, I want to do my best to honor my school, my family, my friends, and hopefully my coach. Being able to compete as a 6th grade runner, I learned new courses, and that's important. But I also learned how to train and work hard. I even learned how to race. So where am I going with this? If I hadn't been able to do these things my 6th grade year, I would have my whole 7th grade season to work hard and train and learn all the things I need to know. By my 8th grade year, I would just have enough time to enjoy the fruits of my labor before going to high school, changing my course again, changing my distance, and having to learn all over again. This only proves that competing as a 6th grader gives you an opportunity before competing to learn. This doesn't just qualify for 6th graders trying to run track or cross country. No. This is for all 6th graders to learn proper skills, technique, and fundamentals to be successful in any sport. This carries to my next point, succeeding and properly representing my school. If given the leg up on competition, kids can learn to win, but not just win with pride, win graciously. The first race I did very well at, it humbled me to see the person in front of me, an 8th grader, shaking hands with all of his competitors. Ever since I have let that be an example to me to win more importantly than just with pride, but graciously. Sometimes that will show a better representation of a good school than just competing well. This highlights that a great benefit competing as a 6th grader, being able to represent your school. Lastly, I'd like to talk about the teammates. Friendships you make as a 6th grader carry on a long time. I'm only a 7th grader, but I know this from some of my friends' experience. As a runner, I met all sorts of people, kids my age and kids 3 and 4 years older than me. Now, I may not always run with them, I may not always compete with them, but I will go to high school with some of them. I will also be great friends with them. Team chemistry is important in order to represent and compete for your school. If the sixth graders compete earlier, they know their older teammates better and they succeed more together. These lifelong friendships never break. I even know for a fact that my own coach has had weddings or get-togethers with friends from high school and even middle school. If that doesn't tell you how close you can get to teammates, I don't know what will. This elaborates that being able to make friends with future teammates as soon as possible benefits for every school for sixth graders is very great. In conclusion, allowing sixth graders to compete in team sports would give a leg up on competition, a proper example of school spirit and understanding, and long-lasting teammates. Sports are very important to people all around the world today. Participating as a sixth grader was a great privilege that helped me succeed and learn to work hard. I would love that other sixth graders get to experience the same exact thing. Thank you for my time, and I hope you can now see how life-changing competing as a young middle schooler can be.
Thank you, Mr. Stenza. Rachel, I won't try it. If you would give your name and address for the record, and you'll have 5 minutes to speak on an agenda item.
My name is Rachel Soulier. I reside at 242 Kirkpatrick Drive, Gallatin. And I'm going to come and speak to you guys about two different walks of life. I have a sixth grader and a fifth grader. And both of my boys are competitive swimmers. They swim 10 to 12 hours a week, every week. They are not too young for their dedication. My oldest son, my sixth grader, just got back from Atlanta where he was able to compete in a group called Ages against kids from South Carolina, and only 4 kids from his entire club got to go and made the times to go. So they're disciplined. You can't say that they're not, and I think that also goes with their grades. They're straight A students, and I just think that we're selling our kids short to think that 5th and 6th graders aren't capable of doing sports at this level. The only negative thing to that is my child would have perfect attendance if he were doing a school sport as opposed to a club sport. So that's a negative in that aspect. I think that it's no different than kids making it to a championship basketball game. They don't get counted absent that day because they're playing for their school. But my son swims for Excel Aquatics, so he gets counted absent. That's just a negative of that aspect. But what I really want to talk to you guys about is when I was the director of the Unity program, the after-school program at Rutgers Stewart. I worked there for the county for 6 years. During my time, it started about 20 kids attending on a daily basis, and whenever I quit a few years ago, we were at 80 students on a daily basis. So I really grew that program, and I would have kids that come and just said, "Hey, Miss Rachel, can I just stay in Unity so I don't have to go across the road where people are doing drugs and my mom and dad aren't home?" Just the impact of that program is phenomenal in what it does for our county. But what I also learned is how many students go the wrong direction because they have nothing to fight for. How many of those sixth graders, 40 and 50 of them every single day, were in the 6th grade. And we get their grades. "Hey, why are you not making its grades? What's going on?" There's just no point, Miss Rachel. There's nothing I get to do. I just want to play ball. Well, but I mean, you're playing ball at the Civic Center right now, and that's important. They don't care what my grades are. The school cares what your grades are. The school cares if you're succeeding. And unfortunately, all we're doing is we're sending our kids to other avenues where they don't care what their grades are. They don't check their report cards. They don't check their behavior. They're not seeing if they're in detention. So the kids are going down a wrong path in 6th grade, and that's a huge transition year, as you all are aware, just 6th grade in general and going to middle school. And once they get into 7th grade and they're finally allowed to try out for sports, they have Fs. And when I say Fs, these kids have 20s and 30s because they literally feel like they have nothing to fight for in life and nothing to work towards. And seeing how naturally talented that these ball players are, and all they want to do is play sports. And if that's enough motivation for them to bring their grades up and to work hard for our teachers and to have good behavior, I'm all for it. And that's all. Thank you all for your time.
Thank you. Hadley Brown.
Hello. Do
Hi.
I need to give you my address?
Yes, state your name and your address.
My name's Hadley Brown, and I live at 1725 Shell Road. I, obviously by my attire, I'm a cheerleader. I cheer for T.W. Hunter Middle School, And to get straight to the topic, it would be highly in favor of Sumner County cheerleading teams to be able to include 6th graders in our programs. I'm an 8th grader this year, and I saw firsthand the magnitude 6th grade girls have on cheer teams when we went to UCA Nationals in Orlando, Florida this year. We placed 5th as a first-year competition team, and that's wonderful. But the thought was always in the back of our minds, what if we had 6th graders? The teams we went against had as many as 8 more girls than us, many of which were 6th graders, as well as several alternates. Many people, coaches around Sumner County included, had said that we had no chance to be even in the same competition with these teams. Hunter Cheer was very fortunate to have no injuries before Nationals, because if we had, there would have been nothing we can do. Not only does the magnitude these 6th graders would have on the size of our teams, but they could also allow middle school cheer to flourish. The size difference between small 6th graders and tall 8th graders is huge. In cheerleading, it makes it much safer if the girls on top of stunts are smaller than the girls on the bottom. If you have girls picking up the same size as each other, it's hard. It's very hard. And if you have tall 8th graders like myself and small 6th graders, it makes it much safer and much easier, and it makes it look a whole lot better. Also, the academic transition between elementary school and middle school is hard. I never got the opportunity to cheer as a 6th grader because it wasn't allowed. If I had had the team that I had this year to help me out and to push me further and to make my grades better, I think I would have tried even harder, because there are girls on my team who had a D and said, I cannot have that D or else I'm not going to be able to cheer with you guys. And so they pushed harder, and I know a girl who had an F in a class and brought it all the way up to a B in a matter of weeks because she wanted to try so hard for each other. Next is, besides focusing on making the middle school cheer team, which the majority of girls don't, the extra year gives extra room for growth. There's only a 2-year window to make the team right now, and then you move on to high school. Pushing these athletes physically that extra year only makes them more prepared for all the years to come. So they need that time, so then they could have 3 years, and the first and second year, even if they don't make it those years, they can push again that 3rd year. 2 years is not a very big opportunity for kids to flourish in their athletics. Again, I want to thank you for your time. I and many other girls to come appreciate the willingness Sumner County has to rise cheerleading above and beyond so that we do not only survive in these large competitions, but we thrive all the way through them.
Thank you, Ms. Brown. Before we call the last one, board members, I just have to bring up our policy about the applause. I know apparently they're saying things that you like, but what if they come in and say things that you don't like? Are we going to allow them to applaud? So our policy states that we don't do that, so I'm going to ask that we refrain from it. I waited a little bit later than I should have, but I thought y'all quit. So, Nicole Vaughn.
I'm pretty loud, so I probably don't need this microphone. I just naturally am, so I'll stay away from it. Nicole Vaughn, 1024 Ryan Court, Gallatin, Tennessee. I work at Knox Doss. I'm a 6th grade teacher, so I'm going to try not to beat a dead horse. As I was listening to everybody else speak, I'll try to get through some points. But as a 6th grade teacher, I wanted to give you my perspective. I coached cheerleading at Knox Doss. I've been a part of sports my entire life. That one over there knows that. Yes. So I grew up in White House. I've grown up in Sumner County my entire life. Kindergarten, before Robertson and Sumner County schools split, all the way until I came back home from the University of Tennessee. So, and now I work for Sumner County. So obviously I have pretty deep roots here, and they haven't really strayed far. So I want to give you a little bit of perspective in the coming nights for our school. So in our school, we'll be having 6th grade night, where you guys know all the new 5th grade nervous parents are going to come to our building and worry about their babies coming in with all the big kids. And I want to address this too. As nervous as some parents are, every year I and other coaches, I know our administrators, get asked the question, when can my child try out for sports? When new people are moving in, I get emails, probably 10 to 15 per year, when there's new kids coming into our school. When can they try out for sports? And 9 times out of 10, I get the email, oh, 6th graders don't play sports here. They're moving in from counties where their child was about to move into a building where they were about to play sports. And then they're coming into a county where now they're not. To me, that screams disadvantage. And that's just one perspective. Let me give you an example in my classroom just this year. And I teach mostly advanced classes in my school, but I have one standard class. I don't always like to group kids, but we'll call it standard. And I had a child who, I was on maternity leave, if you didn't hear the whole time. And then I came back. And when I came back, this child was really struggling in my class. He was not motivated at all to do anything. And if you don't know who the boys basketball coach is at my school, you should know him. His name's Brent Cawthron, and he's probably one of the best men on this planet. He's an amazing example, an amazing role model for the boys in our school. He's a man of God. He's a man of character. He is someone who I would want for a role model for my son. And as soon as we talked to Coach Cawthron, because this little boy is not so little in the 6th grade, he's just as big as some of the 8th graders in the 6th grade, and super talented with sports, failing my class, not turning in assignments, like I said, completely unmotivated. As soon as Coach Cawthron talked to him about playing for his team, his percentage growth on testing, on my CFAs, on our school's benchmark, which I'm very excited because my kids just took today to see what that looks like in comparison specifically for his growth. Okay, his assignments, he does every homework assignment. He had not turned in one homework assignment when I came back into my classroom. Not one. He was on the naughty list that my interim had left for me. This kid brought his spelling grade all the way up to making a B. And I asked him why, and I assure you it was not because of me. I mean, he likes me and all, but it wasn't because of me. It was because of Coach Cawthron. And he told him, if you can't get your act together, you cannot play for our team. If you cannot be the academic first, if you cannot be the student, part of the athlete, you cannot play for our team. Let me tell you, that little boy got his butt in gear. And he is working so hard. As soon as he's done with an assignment, he would be a typical, put your head down, hey, we need to work on something else. He pulls out a book. I've never seen such a studious athlete, a non-reader, someone who I couldn't force to do anything, all of a sudden open up a book. And I wish I would have brought him with me because his mama probably would have let me come and let him tell you his story. But I talked to him this week because I told him, yesterday, I said, I'm coming to talk to the school board about 6th grade sports. And his eyes got real big. And literally when we sat and talked about this during our little conference time, he was like, that would have made the biggest difference from the beginning. I wouldn't have had the opportunity to swap my grades. Now, obviously that does not speak for the mass percentages. Obviously that every student in our building isn't going to be a 6th grade player. But gosh, what hope does that give for kids coming in and work ethic to build upon? What role models does that build within the 6th grade of these student athletes who are supposed to be leadership representatives in our building saying, hey, get your stuff together. You need to be working. You said you want to be part of this team next year? Let's go. These are leaders, and we let them be leaders in 6th grade. Why are we establishing leaders in 7th and 8th grade? Why can't we establish them when they come into our building? And when we're in our hallway, you see sometimes these kids are just, there. They have on these junior T-shirts or these rec league T-shirts and all this stuff. Like, let's wear Mustang T-shirts. Let's all be one team here. They're all like pulled in different directions because it's this team versus this team in the 6th grade because they're playing 6th grade sports or whatever it is they're doing. They're rec teams on the 5th and 6th grade. Let's let them be Mustangs. Let's let them be Bucks. Let's let them be Cougars. Let's let them be that when they come into our building. Let them feel a part of that school. As far as the maturity issue goes, let me tell you something, just like Mr. Scott said. If you set the expectation, and Sumner County to me sets the expectation that our students are going to do, and we believe in you that you're going to, they're going to rise to the occasion. If we as teachers are expected to have that expectation in our classroom.
Ms. Bone, your time's up. If you would, just give you a few more seconds to kind of wind it up, if you would.
If we're expected to have that expectation in our classroom, and you guys trust us to do that, which I fully feel like you trust us to do that, trust your coaches to have that expectation too. Trust your coaches to run their programs the way that you let your teachers run their programs, and I think Sumner County will see the benefit.
Thank you, Ms. Fallon. For those in the audience with us, we have a couple more items before we get to that vote, so you may be sitting here for a few minutes, but the next item on our agenda is matters involving council, and we do have executive session tonight, so we'll recess for a few minutes. We'll be back shortly. Okay, we'll call the meeting back to order now. Next item on the agenda is reports from the director, Dr. Phillips.
Spring break is almost here. Days like today, it gets they get springitis, you know. It happens every year, so I know everyone's looking forward to finishing up this week strong, and then hopefully we'll have good weather for spring break, so everybody can get out and do things, and if they're traveling, they can be safe and get back, and we'll be ready for the big push to the end, which will happen really quickly. So, looking forward to it.
That's a good report. Next item on the agenda is discussion and/or action regarding a resolution in opposition of publicly funded school vouchers. Is there a motion?
Motion to approve.
It's all over the house. Motion by Mr. Hawkins, second by Ms. Hayes. Discussion. Ms. Brown?
Wait a minute, I didn't want to speak on some
Okay.
vouchers.
Okay. Any discussion on the vouchers? Mr. Hawkins?
I want to express my strong support for this board stepping forward to provide this thoughtful resolution for the benefit of our legislators and our other community leaders. Our state constitution requires the provision of free, strong public schools. And I simply feel that putting money away from that into vouchers to use public funds, Tennessee funds, to pay for private schools especially without accountability, moves away from that constitutional duty and is a slippery slope to start undermining our public school system. I encourage all of you to consider voting for this publicly funded voucher opposition resolution. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hawkins. Ms. Andrews?
Yeah, I just have one question, and that is through discussions and so forth that I've seen regarding vouchers this year. The legislator has tried to be careful to maybe not call it vouchers. They're calling it education savings accounts in that. Is there any discussion about, do we need to put vouchers and or ESAs in there, just because I don't want it to get to the legislature and then being like, well, we're not doing vouchers.
They know.
Okay.
I talked to both of them today.
Okay.
Trust me, they know. I talked to both of them today. One of them twice. There's not a week goes by this time of year. They're very good. They call me when they're in committee meeting and they're not sure about something that's in front of them. So we're good. And I have not. I mean, I've talked to Johnny, but I talked to Senator Hale and Representative Lambert today. Yeah, talked to Senator Hale twice. So Representative Lambert, yeah. So we talked to those guys. They're very good to hear what we have to say, and they completely, even before we passed this, they completely understood our position as a district and a board. But I wanted to give them the courtesy to let them know that we were passing it today before they get the letter. So we'll make sure they get it, but I think they understand. So we're in good shape on that part.
All right, thank you, Dr. Phillips.
I think you're concerned about, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I think the concern about ESA's education savings account is well taken. ESAs are basically vouchers on a prepaid card, and where they have been used in other states, they have been rampant with people using them for car repairs, for getting their hair done, for paying mortgage payments. It is just, you talk about slippery slope, it is massively unsuccessful, and I think we might consider adding in the second paragraph where it says the legislator, they may entertain legislation that would create a voucher program. We might say voucher and/or educational savings account program. It is vouchers by another name and by another means with even less accountability. And I would be open to modifying.
They know. Let's vote on it. They know. And at the end of the day, you can send it down there any way you want to, but let me give you guys how this works. They get a lot of these things. We're doing it as a public display that we're opposed to it because we're a public school. But they know. How you affect legislation is you talk to them. You don't mail them something. I'll give y'all a little bit of lesson if you don't know that. So that's why they know it's coming. I called them ahead of time. They know what our position is. So you put anything you want to on there at the end of the day, I've talked to them. They know what we're doing. So I would ask you to vote for it.
Thank you, Dr. Phillips. Ms. Brown.
I just wanted to second, I held them up too. Well, I had them in the hand. That's when I grab them. I don't care where. It probably wasn't the appropriate place, but.
All right, are we ready to vote? All right, all in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? Seeing none, motion carries. Unanimously. Thank you. Next item on the agenda is discussion and interaction regarding a revision to policy IDFA middle school athletics upon first reading.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to approve, and I would also like to add to that motion that we waive second reading.
Motion has been made to approve and
Do we get
to waive
discussion?
second reading. Is there a second? Second by Ms. Andrews. Discussion. Ms. Brown.
Do we get discussion?
Right now.
Oh, okay. What I wanted to say was I appreciate people who came to speak, but they really weren't addressing what I've been addressing. The school sets the number of cheerleaders, not us. So you can have as many cheerleaders as you want to. One thing that bothers me that I keep hearing is you want this little sixth grader. How are y'all going to guarantee that? Are you not going to allow anybody to try out that doesn't? It's just a thought in my mind. So I don't think that can be guaranteed. And there's seniors in high school. There are plenty of other kids that are tiny. But what I wanted to address was more the physical and the maturity of the kids. The kids are, you can walk in the school, any middle school, I think anybody here could walk in and pick out sixth grade hall. It just shines. What I looked up to, that the growth plates on children, on females, I didn't check the males. The males are probably a year later. But I checked on girls as 12 to 14 before their growth plates close. And that's a real issue if we get a kid injured. That's all I wanted to say. I'm sure it will make no difference, but I want you to know that you are dealing with an immature child. And as far as track, I think track would be wonderful for the whole school. I see no issue there. I'm just worried about some of these sports where they can get broken hands and things that will lead to us being in a mess trying to settle the problem.
Thank you, Ms. Brown. Mr. Gregory.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm probably not going to change anybody's mind, but I think I made a statement at the last time I spoke on this that, and I have been involved in students and student athletes, let's say for several decades, and daily, and still am. And a huge sports fan. I married the right person, she is too. And to me, all this is about player development. Player development. it's not about participation. I agree with everything that was said about the academic part. I think that's parents that has more to do with that than anything. I've actually had one telephone call this week, no, I believe it's Friday, that, and this came from a very athletic, in fact, I think the father may have been an all-state player. And his take was, he has 2 children who are involved in athletics, that they're playing too much. Playing too much. And I've had, my wife was an athlete, grandchildren involved in soccer, hockey, ice hockey, cheerleading, volleyball. I don't have any grandchildren. Some of them do 2 things. And it's about, to me, it's about player development. And yet, last evening, I'm sure none of you saw this, it was about 12 o'clock. There was on TV about an All-American in college, girl basketball player. And her whole thing, the news part of it was about her development and how it started. And it was with the parent. And I'm not going to go into details of what they did. I did hear one of the most outstanding basketball coaches speak one time. And he said, in order to develop, and I'll never have forgotten this, by the way, he's won over 1,000 games, was you do ordinary things in an unordinary manner. Never have forgotten that. Ordinary things in an inordinary manner. Again, I think it's about player development. I've been involved with students from kindergarten through college. And but one of the main things too, and I'm really big on this, who manages it? Bottom line, the principals manage it. And I talked with both the principals in my district, and they were not for this. So I have a no vote. It's not a personal issue with any of you. It's just what I think's best for students. And I think, again, it's about player development. And we talked briefly yesterday. I talked with Mr. Langford about player development without bringing that term up. But his father, he went from just a kind of a big, would you believe that? Sophomore in high school, when I first met him, to the last cut of the Oakland Raiders. I believe that's right, didn't it? Was it Oakland? Denver? Okay, next door. And I followed him through his entire career, and he developed quite well. And that's my thing. I'm not against involvement. I'm not against academics. I'm just, this is the way you get there. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Gregory. Mr. Duncan?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I don't want to speak very long. I just want to thank everybody that came to speak. I appreciate the families, the cheerleaders, the coaches that came to represent what they've seen, what they believe, and I appreciate that. I'd also like to thank my fellow board members for the conversation that we had at the last study session. We had a good conversation about this, and I don't want to rehash all of that because I think we got a lot of it out last week, so I'm just going to leave it at that. And thank you for sharing that conversation openly with the rest of us, and I will thank you for that, and I'll stop there. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Duncan. Ms. Andrews?
Yes, I too just want to say thank you for everyone that came and spoke tonight. Appreciate your heart and just sharing your experiences. Specifically, thank you to the students that came. I think it's super important to hear from them. They are in our schools day in and day out. The one thing I think that they probably didn't share with you is there's no secret that I obviously support sixth graders playing. I currently have 2 middle school students. I'll have a third next year, and then another one right behind that. And so I spend a lot of time with middle schoolers, and I've seen just the struggles that many of the middle school students have because of home life, because of social media, because they're awkward becoming teenagers, whatever it may be. And so I know that those that are involved in something, whether it's a sport, whether it's a club at school, whether it's church, whatever it may be, if they're involved in something, they're typically better students, they're better community members. And so again, for me, this is, I always want to see us give more opportunities to our students rather than less. I feel like Ms. Vaughn did a great job saying that let them buy into the school. It will change our school dynamics. It will change the community of our schools. It will change the school spirit to allow them to be fully invested. So I just ask that this policy gets approved. I think we will see good come from it.
Thank you, Ms. Andrews. Mr. Daniels, then I'll come back to you, Mr. Hopper.
Thank you. While I was sitting here, I was looking at Mr. Tech out there, and thank you for speaking tonight along with the others that spoke. And I was thinking that probably about right now, you've been about mile 18. Is that right in the hour and a half we've been here? Somewhere around that? Somewhere around mile 18. So, so thank you for giving up your run tonight to join us possibly. But, I was thinking back, we've talked about this over the last couple months. When I grew up, and I'm from Sumner County, I'm from Gallatin, so I grew up in this area, traveled far in life, as you can tell. But when I grew up, I played sports. I love playing sports. And when I played, I'd play football in the fall. Then I'd play basketball in the winter. And then in the spring, I'd play baseball. Sometimes I'd throw soccer in there until they stuck me on defense and you couldn't slide tackle and I stopped playing soccer. But, we didn't have, we had all-star teams, but we didn't have, your tournament teams and your travel teams that you have now. In fact, I've got a 7-year-old right now that's playing baseball, and had his first tournament this weekend. And I still sometimes question, is that too young? But he enjoys playing. He's got an opportunity to bond with a group of kids that maybe he'll grow up with and will likely grow up with over the years. When I think about, sixth graders, and what we're really talking about right now is we're talking about basketball, we're talking about track, we're talking about cheerleading. And in some cases, with moving up to the TMSA, cross country in some respects. So those are the sports that we're talking about, because those are the ones that we oversee and that are sanctioned, in all of our middle schools. But we've got sixth graders right now, and I know I've said this pretty much every meeting we've discussed this. We've got sixth graders right now that are playing, that are cheering, for tournament teams or travel teams or cheer squads, Cheerville, and I don't even know what other ones are out there. Premier and Excel and any other name that you can think of. They're out there. They're in gymnastics. We've got we've got middle school soccer teams. We've got middle school baseball teams. We've got middle school volleyball teams, and they all have sixth graders, and they're all playing. And for me, I think back to sixth grade. Not for me personally, but my wife was really involved with the volleyball program at Schaefer Middle School. As that started to grow and become a big part of the Gallatin area, and it's kind of transitioned to Rucker now. But I remember as she had tryouts, one of the things that they did, because they had sixth graders that could play, is one, it allowed them to bring in some sixth graders to give them opportunity to learn and to develop and learn to play before they got seventh and eighth grade and on to the high school. But I remember that every year they would look to find one or two of the sixth graders that maybe weren't the best athlete, had some potential, and really needed to be a part of something, as they moved into the sixth grade. And I remember one individual in particular, a number of years ago. She had lost her father. Her father had passed away, when she was in fifth grade. And she went to our church, and, she was struggling. And even though she wasn't the best athlete when she tried out, they put her on the team as part of the JV team to give her an opportunity to be around other teammates that could help build her up and lift her up. And by the time she moved on to the high school, now she's a member of the high school volleyball team, because she had an opportunity as a sixth grader to step in. And I believe it really helped her settle into the school and have relationships that she might not have had. And so when I think about the opportunity here, I don't think we're talking about hundreds of students across the county. We're talking about a handful in basketball, maybe. We're talking about sixth graders, maybe in cross country and track, that now they have an opportunity, as Ms. Andrews said, to be a part of something, to be a part of the team, to be part of that community that they wouldn't have the opportunity to have otherwise. And so, I look at this, and as Ms. Andrews said, and a couple of the other board members, I think this is an opportunity to give them something to do. I think studies have shown, if you look at studies, that students involved in sports, tend to excel in the classroom in a lot of cases. And I know there's some concern about what if a student tries out and they get cut. There's tons of stories of professional athletes. Michael Jordan, for example, was cut from his high school team the first time he tried out. But he went to work and he got better and became one of the greatest basketball players of all time. And so sometimes it's good to learn from rejection as well. We're not guaranteeing these kids a spot. All we're doing is giving them an opportunity. And if they're not playing basketball at the middle school sixth graders, then they're probably playing AAU somewhere anyway. But this gives an opportunity to get involved with the school, with the coach, with the program, and gives them a chance to develop into possibly a better athlete down the line. And I think it's an opportunity that we ought to provide to them. So I support this. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Daniels. Are we ready to vote? Mr. Wilkerson.
This may not make a hill of beans to anybody, but when my youngest was 5 years old, Westmoreland would not let them play in coach pitch. And we had a group of 5-year-olds that were very talented. So we formed a team, a 5-year-old coach pitch team, and we brought them to Gallatin because Gallatin would allow them to play. We went undefeated, and they wouldn't let us come back the next year. So just wanted to add that little note in.
Thank you, Mr. Wilkerson. Mr. Hawkins.
Mr. Chairman, I call the question. We've kicked this thing down the road 6 months, and I just call the question. We've discussed it over and over, and I'm ready to vote. I think this board's ready to vote.
We've got a motion and a second, Mr. Hawkins, that's going to overrule you, I think. The question's been called. We do want to do a roll call vote on it.
Call for the question.
The question's been called by Mr. Wise, and Ms. Hayes has seconded it. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? No. No, we're voting on the calling of the question. We're not, just a question. Do you want to vote on it or do you not? All in favor of voting on it, say aye. Aye. All opposed to voting on it, say no. Seeing none, question is called. We are now voting on the amendment for IDFA. We'll do a roll call vote. Mr. Johnson.
Vote yes if you're voting for the policy as presented. This is the vote on the main motion.
All right, and with that, Ms. Hayes.
Yes.
Ms. Bachman.
Yes.
Ms. Andrews.
Yes.
Mr. Duncan.
Yes.
Mr. Hawkins.
Yes.
Mr. Daniels.
Yes.
Mr. Wise.
Yes.
Ms. Brown.
No.
Mr. Gregory.
No.
Mr. Wilkerson.
Yes.
Chairman Brewer.
Yes. Motion carries.
Motion carries 9-2.
9-2.
That was, Mr. Chairman, just to clarify, that was a motion to also vote and waive second reading.
That's correct.
Thank you.
That's correct. That's what the motion was, yes. Moving on to the next item on the agenda, discussion and interaction regarding the reduction of retainage of Venus Stewart Elementary School.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Wise, second by everybody in the room. We'll give it to Ms. Andrews. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? Seeing none, motion carries. Next item, discussion and interaction regarding the final release of retainage of Indian Lake Elementary. Motion approved by Mr. Daniels, second by Ms. Hayes. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? Seeing none, motion carries. Unfinished business, discussion and interaction regarding amendments to the general purpose budget.
We could do the textbook.
Oh, did I miss something?
We changed the agenda.
Oh, you took it off?
Yeah, we did.
Okay. Okay, I know, I didn't see it on my screen here, so.
Motion to approve.
Motion to approve by Mr. Hawkins, second by Mr. Daniels. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Seeing none, motion carries. Next item, discussion and interaction regarding amendments to the federal budget and resolution to transfer funds. Motion approved by Mr. Gregory, second by Ms. Hayes.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir. Discussion.
This one thing on here is different. This, I always try to make note for you guys if there's something that's different from normal. This resolution to transfer funds, that is different than typical. We don't have those usually. And I'm gonna tell you what that is in the shortest way. All we're doing is transferring funds to cover cash flow for grants. The state basically, with how they've changed for us to ask for reimbursement for grants that are approved, their lead time has gotten longer, and so we want to make sure we have enough funds in there to pay payroll for grant people that are on grant salaries and those type of things until we get the reimbursement back. Does that make sense? It's just managing money inside the house here. We're upset because, you know, the way they've got it now, they've changed it over time, and you know, for little bitty districts or districts that are not financially really stable, that's tough because basically you're fronting payroll that you know they're going to give you back. Does that make sense? So that's the reason that this is on there this month. We've fought, but we just need to do this to make sure we have the money in the right spot so we can get reimbursed. Does that make sense? That's all it is.
Thank you, Dr. Phillips. Mr. Hawkins. Never mind. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? Seeing none, motion carries. Next item on the agenda, discussion of study session items. Ms. Bachman, I believe you got something.
Yes, I do. I received contacted by Coach Hollingsworth from Station Camp High School, and I would like to place on the study session the naming of the Station Camp High School field house in honor of Kyle Reese Cannon, who was a graduate of Station Camp who died in the service of his country. And so I will have Coach Hollingsworth and Mr. Cook come and give more. I've got the details here, but I would rather them tell about that. So I would like to have that on the study session, please.
All right. Anybody else? If you need anything on the study session, just get in touch with Dr. Phillips' office, Jeremy Johnson's office. Third call you'd make would be me, but
they won't need to call you. We'll take care of it.
Dr. Phillips, you got something?
Oh, I'm sorry. One thing we may need to have, I think Mr. Langford's checking, we did take off the agenda the recommendation on the textbook from the textbook adoption from the committee. And so that, depending on, the books are in the conference room. So if you guys want to review the books, they're in the conference room. So take one home. There's probably multiple sets in there, but you can review them. You can come up here and get them, whatever. They're right there. But Mr. Langford's checking, we may, because of the Chinese text thing, we may have to have a special call just to approve what the committee recommended so we can file it with the state. I think that deadline's around April 15th or something. We may be a day or two off. I don't know. But if you see us call a special call with Chairman Brewer, the one agenda item would be to approve the textbooks. But they're in there if you want to see them, okay? What the committee's recommended.
Thank you, Dr. Phillips. All righty. Next item on the agenda is comment from board members. Ms. Hayes, we always start with you.
We could start with Dave if you want to. Hey, I'm gonna keep it brief. If you guys want to see Mary Poppins Fly, come to Hendersonville High School's theater performance. The Thespians are doing Mary Poppins April the 4th through the 7th, and we appreciate Carol Ann Everson said to send her thank yous to Bob Cotter, Dr. Phillips, department, for getting behind them, because when Mary Poppins flies, there's an insurance issue, and we're very grateful, and they're very excited. And I've stopped in on some of the practices, and they are just, it's going to be awesome.
I hope she flies safely.
I do too. Pray she flies safely. And speaking of praying, she flies up.
The dates?
4th through the 7th. I think it's 7 at night, and there's a Sunday afternoon performance at 2:30 or 2 o'clock, something like that. And just praying safe travels, people that are traveling for spring break, and a restful, great family time for spring break coming up, and it's much needed. Thank you for the teacher appreciation luncheon. It's one of the highlights of a year is our teachers and principals, and the new award for the instructional coach. For Dr. Brown, Jennifer Brown, in her honor, and for Lyndon to be there. It was just very special, and I appreciate everyone who helped put that together, and sweet Nancy, precious lady. But thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Hayes. Ms. Bachman?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Brewer. Chairman Brewer, thank Tammy for Day on the Hill. Thank you for setting up the board luncheon over at Station Camp High School. That was awesome. The kids did a wonderful job of fixing lunch for us. Enjoyed Teacher of the Year. Wanted to briefly mention again how important the teachers are in our lives. I had the opportunity, Jim and I did, to go to a taping which Gary Sinise was the guest of honor with the Pickler and Ben show. And I got his book, and in his comments, he was a struggling child. He just liked to do fun things and not study or whatever. And when he was in high school, he was in maybe a sophomore or whatever. He was standing at his locker, and one of his teachers went by and said, "Hey, I think you need to try out for this play that we're having." He said, "I think you do a good job." So he went and got a little bit part, and that set his life on a new course. And his teacher's name is Barbara Patterson in Chicago. And
I'm not hearing you. I'm
okay,
sorry.
okay. I'm talking about Gary Sinise. Was his life was changed by a teacher when he was in high school. He was struggling. He didn't want to study. He was a poor student. All he wanted to do was play music and that kind of thing. And was able. A teacher saw something in him that he didn't know that he had, and encouraged him to try out for a play, and that led him into all other kind of different directions and changed his life forever. So he credits that teacher for changing his life. So another attaboy, attagirl for our teachers.
Thank you, Ms. Bachman. Ms. Andrews?
Thank you, Chairman. I just want to say thank you to everybody that was able to come out to Station Camp for the Camp Grill lunch. It was great. It's literally one of my favorite things that we get to do when we get to have the lunches. I feel like Miss Gregory does a phenomenal job. It's such a great opportunity for those students to practice some life skills as well as to be recognized in the school. Sometimes our special needs kids don't get the recognition that they deserve, and those kids are amazing, and I really enjoy doing that. So that was the last one that we have scheduled for this school year. Commissioner Shell and myself will get together this summer. Our goal is to go ahead and get a calendar, hopefully to give to you in like August probably, so that you'll know all the dates for next school year, just so that everybody can plan appropriately. We'll try not to change any
Yeah, please.
on that. And I feel like as a board, a lot of times that we don't get a lot of recognition, and I feel like we got a great compliment actually from a commissioner who during that luncheon came to me and said, you know, I wish that we as a commission had this opportunity where we could kind of get together and so forth. And so I just commend everybody on the board. I think we have a great board. I enjoy serving with each of you, and I appreciate everything that you give to the board and to the community. So I just think that's a great accolade for us. And then also this morning, Ms. Bachman and myself were able to go to Burris for their community breakfast they had for STEM. And I just want to give a shout out to Burris and just all that they've been able to do in the last 4 years. With them being one of the newest schools, they have rocked it. Dr. Reynolds has really done a great job. One, becoming STEM accredited, and just what she is doing with community partners and the technology that they are continuously adding. And I think it was last week they had 5th graders. Part of their STEM challenge was to create a city. And they had these little, they're literally like this big, they're called Ozbots, that they go and can navigate their city. Well, they brought in the planning from Hendersonville, Mr. Free, city planner, and he came in and evaluated the cities of the top 4 ones that they had picked. And so I just think that that's cool how we are, they're not only doing that there within the school, but they're also then bringing in the community and having real life experiences. So I just want to give a shout out to them.
Thank you, Ms. Andrews. Mr. Johnson.
Thank you, Chairman. Just a couple quick points. Again, I'd like to thank the students that spoke today. That was wonderful. I think they should get extra credit for public speaking. I mean, that was they did a superb job. The only other thing I have is I would like to thank Hunter and Beach Elementary for the open houses that they provided for the rezoning. From what I've gathered, it was a great success. It was like a family welcoming people over, and I hope the attendees felt that way. But again, I'm sure that cluster will continue to offer up all that they can to make those new students feel at home. So thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Duncan. Mr. Hawkins.
What an humbling event it was to be at the Teacher of the Year and Principal of the Year luncheon, to sit with fellow board members and to see just a small section of our bright and shining educators across the county. It was really very moving, and congratulations to all of them. Thank you to Vinci and the special ed team, the special projects team that put that together. That was well done. I liked the reference to Mary Poppins seeing the lifting. That reminded me, I want to thank Dr. Phillips and Andy Brown for an even more day-to-day lifting and lowering. The Gallatin High School elevator has been out for months, and we've had impaired students, impaired faculty, special ed students who've been limited on getting to the library, on getting up to classrooms. And now, last I heard, y'all have been working with Dr. Becker, I think that's on track for spring break to be restored. And after spring break, we'll once again have that magical lifting and lowering at Gallatin High School, which we had come to take for granted and shouldn't. And thank you all for pushing that through and making that happen. To Tammy Hayes, thank you for pushing through the Day on the Hill and making that happen. I know Chairman Brewer and several other members, Sarah had wanted to come and had last minute crunches, but you and Alice once again were the leaders, and I enjoyed moving in your wake as we moved around and met with all 4 of our state legislators and talked about them. And you're exactly right, Dr. Phillips. Face-to-face is the key on communicating with our legislators and with our county commissioners. We've had good turnout from our county commissioners at several of our school board meetings recently, as well as our other events. To Scott Wyteka, to Jameson Stenzel,
to Rachel Solier, to Hadley. Is Hadley still? She had homework. Hadley left for homework. Okay. And Hadley Brown, and to Nicole Vaughn. Thank you, Nicole, in the back with your latest project. Thank you very much. Thank you all for what you've added to the meeting, but thank you for what you do day to day. I listened to the comments of my fellow board members, and the growth plate thing made me worried. And I actually researched and found out that one of the main things, concerns about sixth graders, is providing safety for young athletes. Some of our coaches are skilled, such as the Premier Coaching. Some of them are moms and dads who step forward and may not have the safety training, but our coaches in our schools have that safety training that allows them to tailor education and tailor coaching and improve the safety for these students. And that was one of the things that I think is very appropriate on the growth plate concern. That safety needs to be a driving guideline for our sixth graders. And then I talked also to a couple of principals, as did Mr. Gregory, but in different parts, who are concerned about us adding sixth grade teams and having to manage that. I assured those principals that the amendment that we voted on tonight said no sixth grade teams. So we passed on, and no football. So that's where we voted on tonight, and the principals I talked with are satisfied. Middle school principals are satisfied with that. That's it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Hawkins. Mr. Daniels.
Thank you. You'd mentioned that we've got a Mary Poppins coming up. I just want to offer congratulations to Gallatin High School. Just finished The Little Mermaid and did a great job. I think Beach has Mamma Mia coming up. And so we've got a lot of spring activities going on, not just spring break. We've got spring sports going on. And so obviously I know we all wish safe travels on all of our students and our parents and coaches. They travel, across the county and across the state, hopefully to bring home some championships in a lot of different sports this year, and represent our county really well. So I wish best luck to them. And it's a little after 8, so Scott's probably on mile 23 right now, so 2 hours in. So we're getting near the end for you, Scott, so hopefully we can get you out of here before too long. So thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Daniels. Mr. Wise.
Enjoy spring break, but be careful.
Thank you, Ms. Wise. Ms. Brown.
I want to say ditto to Tammy. You covered everything I wanted to cover. The only thing you left out was the station camp, which was very nice and a good idea. I enjoy those things more than other visits to the schools, and I think it's a great opportunity for us. I also want to thank Dr. Phillips for following through and getting them to have these receptions. That's going to make all the difference in the world, because they are going to feel, instead of thrown somewhere, they're going to feel welcomed. And so I pride that our school system tries to stay ahead, see the needs, recognize them, and plan for it ahead of time. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Brown. Ms. Gregory.
I believe last month I was the one who brought up the school voucher thing. And there are 2 more items I want to bring up tonight that I wish, and I'm sure there are different opinions on some of these, but there are things being discussed in our state legislature. One of them is charter schools, and the other one is teachers carrying weapons, and the only reason they've given to do it is to save money. Man, to me, is a ridiculous thought. And if teachers are doing their job, which is teaching, they're in the classroom. A lot of things can develop. And I'm a firm believer, strongly support, wish the state would get more involved. I think they do have a little bit of money allocated for SROs. I mean, I would be a strong advocate of all schools having SROs, and I'd be a strong advocate of larger schools having more than one. I mean, you take a school the size of some of ours, need at least 3. And I'm a strong, student safety has become probably, and it was not that way when I first went on the board, but it's probably the most important thing in my mind now, and I think most of yours, or all of yours. Student security, student safety is very important. And those 2 items there are being discussed at our state legislature level. And I did take the opportunity yesterday to talk with our state senator about these. And I think we're okay. But I wouldn't guarantee, I mean, listen, as we know, when they vote, that's a different situation. On a positive note, I do believe in our state budget, if it doesn't get taken out, we know how that goes too. The money that Mr. Cotter had requested for the students to retake the ACT, which was paid for by the state. You know, the young lady up here that, what did she raise her score? 4 points, 6 points, some big amount. But I do believe that at the present time is in the budget. And I've been trying to follow that, all these different situations that had to deal with school systems and in the state. And obviously, I'm for public education. I believe that's all. Thank y'all.
Thank you, Mr. Gregory. Mr. Wilkerson.
Yeah, I just want to say that Union Elementary has got something going. I appreciate these young men and women that's going to be future leaders stepping up at such an early age. I want to say especially to Ethan, thank you for serving this country, because my family and I appreciate it. A lot of good things going on. We got a strong county, and we're going to see great things come out of it.
Thank you, Mr. Wilkerson. I have a few things to say. The camp grill was fun. It was very good. I was going thinking chicken and dumplings. Nobody can beat my wife's chicken and dumplings. Buddy, they came close. They came close. I didn't tell her that. And if I want her to know that, I'll tell her.
It's our secret.
The Teacher of the Year was fantastic. I thought the memorial for Dr. Brown was very, very good, very appropriate. I had to get my tissue out because she's not only touched a lot of lives in this county, she's touched my household. My little girl is 27, but she'll graduate from the University of Alabama because Dr. Brown encouraged her to go for her master's degree. So she's touched even my house. 6th grade vote, the vote got called before I got to talk. So, I mean, the question got called. I was a solid no on it. But after listening tonight, I just had to stop and think, you know, what I was listening to was experience. You know, we don't think this ought to work, but then you know, I've got to put my confidence in the people that are in the classrooms. And basically, after all of what I heard tonight is, hey, we got this. And I believe in you, and I believe you do have it. And so we put it in your hands, and now we're going to see great things come out of that. So really, that was what changed my mind to vote yes on it. Coffee with Dr. Phillips was very, very good. He came and spoke to the Realtors group, and everybody's told me what a great job he did, and very, very informative. I was pleased to see him there because our Realtors need to know you don't go out and say it's in Beach School District. You don't go say it's in Station Camp School District. You say it's in Station Camp School District this year. And so I think we got a lot of good points over to them. It went so well that one of my older agents came up to me and said, "Do you think he has got an older brother that's available?" And with that, we are adjourned. So, oh, I'm sorry. No. Please save the date. 2019 Special Olympics, Friday, April 26, 9:45. Parade begins at Station Camp High School. If it's a rain out date, it'll be Friday, May the 10th. Now we are adjourned.